I'm Janet Poole. I'm an occupational therapist, and I teach at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where our climate is much drier than this. We have the heat, but we have the dryness, so it's a little bit different with that. My email address is on the slide, so feel free to email me if you have any questions afterwards or think of anything that you wanted me to put in there and I didn't. Or if you are working with other health professionals like OTs and PTs that may have any questions, then feel free to give them my email. But just make sure in the topic that you put scleroderma so I know why people are emailing me. So I'm going to talk about practical tips to manage fatigue and scleroderma. I wanted to ask one question. I'm going to hit about 10 minutes at the end. I was going to do like a kind of a breathing relaxation exercise. Is that okay? Okay. Great. So what is fatigue? Fatigue is a sense of physical tiredness and lack of energy distinct from sadness or weakness. And this was a quote that was by Krupp in 1988. But one person with fatigue described it to me. This was a person with scleroderma. Just extreme fatigue where by the end of the day at work, I came home, I laid on the couch, and then I went to bed. I didn't eat. I felt like I was in a coma. I just couldn't move, just extreme fatigue. And not the kind of fatigue that a weekend of rest and just laying around would cure. I'm sure some of you have felt that way, and it's hard to explain to other people what this fatigue is because I don't have scleroderma. I have been tired, I have been fatigued, but rest, I'm usually okay. And that's different from having scleroderma or other chronic conditions. So the purpose then of this session is to give tips on managing energy to manage fatigue. And we're going to think about energy like money in a bank. So I thought that was something that we could identify with. At the luncheon this morning, the awards luncheon, Robert had that tree of a money tree, and I thought that's another way you can think of it. You got money on this tree, and you take it off by doing things, and you have to figure out ways to get it back on, or ways to deposit money into your energy bank. So you have an energy bank account. Imagine it is like money in a bank. Energy is spent doing various things, and you lower your balance by withdrawing from your account. You got up this morning, probably took a shower, that might cost you $1 of energy. Maybe you brushed your teeth, that might have cost you another $1 of energy. But then, if you rested afterwards or just kind of stopped, took a little time out, you could maybe replace that energy, put another $1 in. So you can bring in energy from different sources and deposit it and raise your balance or energy. Like I said, resting is one way to do that. You can borrow or transfer it from one energy bank to another. So you may have energy for one activity, maybe you have energy for, there's work, maybe there's your home life, but you may be able to do a little trade-off, trade energy from one to energy from another, and that's what we'll talk about. If your balance or energy is low, then you have to do something to budget so you have enough energy to do what you want. And if you continue to spend energy and don't replace it, then you have a deficit, like a deficit in your bank account. And so you could think of fatigue as energy poverty. So what we're going to do is how to not have you be impoverished. So how can we deposit energy? One thing is good nutrition, and I believe there's been some different talks on nutrition at this conference, so any of the suggestions that people have made are also great for helping you deposit energy. Establish good sleep habits, and I'm going to talk briefly about that. Stay active, and you need to stay active, be active, but not totally wear yourself out, because staying active, and if you heard Dr. Silver this morning, he talked about doing exercise and being active, then helps also with your lung capacity and maintaining that. Rest. Rest is really important, and that is probably one of the easiest ways to deposit energy, but we oftentimes don't think about it. Then there are ways to spend less energy. One is to use good body mechanics. Another is to organize your workstations or your activity stations. Use technology and simplify the different activities that you do. So good sleep habits. Keep your bedroom primarily for sleep. I could say, or sex too, but for those primary activities. Avoid caffeine, alcohol, cigarettes, or any type of stimulants in the evening. Avoid television and computer use close to bedtime. Don't watch TV in bed. Now we have all that light and all that stuff coming in. It just really kind of wires your system up. So try not to do that. Try and have like a stop time. Not going to watch TV, or not going to use the computer. Or even texting and all those types of things really involve that. Be active during the day. Again, that it gives you energy, but then also it helps relax you at night. Try and create a relaxing bedtime routine. And it may depend. These are just some ideas. It totally depends on you. It's not one thing fits everybody. Take a warm bath or shower. For some people, that can relax the body. Wearing warm socks can be relaxing to some people. Or if you have like an electric blanket, that can be relaxing. Use earplugs. Listen to maybe relaxing music. Meditate. Some people meditate. Some people have those, I think it's called white noise machines, or different machines that give that background noise. Some people, it may be turning the fan on. Yeah, I know that you get cold, so a fan may or may not, but sometimes that drum, that sound of it can be relaxing. And turn your clock around so you can't see the time. Because if you wake up and you think, oh, I haven't slept, and you keep looking at the clock and it's only moved, about 10 minutes, and you think, oh, I didn't go back to sleep, and then it's an hour, and you think I didn't go back to sleep, then that kind of gets you more upset, and then it's even harder to go to sleep. And the Sleep Foundation, and that's the website there, has a lot of really more good ideas. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on sleep, but it is really important. And they have also a little form like a sleep diary that you can fill out to try and figure out is there something that makes you wake up at night? Do you wake up at a certain time? Is it something that can be avoided? Sometimes it can't be. If you have small children and they wake you up, then they wake you up. But then how can you get back to sleep? Turn off your stress if you can. Think about all the things you're worried about and write them down, and then just that's it, and you don't have to deal with them till tomorrow. Now I'll talk about rest. So rest is really important. And the important thing too is to rest before you are tired. So how many of you have rested today? Oh, good. Maybe 4 or 5. Okay. So I know there's not a lot of time, but you have to think about how could you have rested today? Are there anything that you could have done to rest? Could you have, when they had the half-hour breaks, could you have just kind of gone off by yourself in a chair and just kind of sat there for a few minutes like that? At the longer lunch break, could you have maybe gone up for a little bit? Or somewhere quiet, and just sort of stopped everything and then come back. But it's having to plan that and think about it ahead of time. So take short, frequent rests, or for some of you, one longer rest period, but doing it at the same time each day so that your body gets accustomed to it. At 11 o'clock, I'm going to take a rest every day, no matter what. And then you know that, and then you can just go into your rest mode. You can alternate work and rest, but plan your rest times first. And I have a little schedule in a minute to kind of show you some ideas. Put reminders. Now we have those in our phones. You can put reminders in. Even if it says rest, then you have to rest. Set timers. Maybe you're going to do an activity for so long, and then you're going to stop. But you really get involved in it, so if you set a timer, then you stop, and then you rest. Use daily and weekly schedules and plans and planners, because in the beginning, this is trying to change behavior. So if you're trying to change behavior, it's hard to do, and it takes a while. So you have to really be organized about it at first, plan what you're going to do, have your calendar, and do it. Try different types of rest. For some people, actually laying down flat or on your side is a way to rest. May not work in all situations. Like I said here, by the time you go back to your room and come back down, you may have lost quite a bit of time. But if you can just find a quiet nice chair, facing away from everybody, and just try and rest. Sitting, a recliner is nice if you have one. Supporting your arms and legs are nice. Maybe some of you may be able to go to sleep during my talk, or if the room gets really warm. But usually when you don't have an armrest or something and have straight back chair, that's why we put these types of chairs in Liz, right? We have it for students and everything. Sleep, of course, is one way to rest, but you don't have to go to sleep to rest. And then do a passive or quiet activity, or listen to music, or meditate. So, is texting resting? No. Or surfing the internet, or doing anything like that, because your mind is always kind of going with that. If you're texting, your fingers and your mind are going. So think about that. You really have to rest. Turn everything off, put it away. Don't look at it with that. Reading can be relaxing, but if you're reading and you hold whatever you're using, either the book or a Kindle or something like that, you have to have the static position of your arms. That is not relaxing. So if you have a book stand or a stand for your Kindle, that can be relaxing. You still have to do something about turning the pages with that. Rest is also one of the things that is pretty easy to use as an accommodation. So if you are a working person and you feel like you need more breaks during your job, if you have total control over your schedule, then you just schedule your rest periods. I'm going to shut the door, and it just says do not disturb, and nobody needs to know what you're doing. If you're in a job where you have to be more accountable for your time, like clock in and clock out, and you have to disclose to get accommodations, then you can disclose. And one of the things you can actually ask for is to change your rest period. So you have a break maybe in the morning, and it's maybe a 10-minute break. You can ask for a 15-minute break, and maybe you shorten your lunch period and then have a longer break in the afternoon. So keep rest in mind. It's something that can be really, really helpful. So this is kind of a calendar, and I just sort of took this off different things, people, just to give different ideas. So let's say in the morning you get up and you take a shower and you have breakfast and then you have coffee, and then you're 8 o'clock, that's your time to rest. So you rest. Even if you're already done with your coffee and your breakfast, you don't really change your time. You just say, okay, I'm going to rest at 8. Maybe do the dishes at 8:30, and then you have a rest. And you have to maybe have to go to the grocery store. So you go to the grocery store, you come back, and of course you're usually tired from the grocery store. But one thing you can do, and I never thought of this till somebody told me this is what they did, put the perishable stuff away first. Then you don't have to put that other stuff right away. It can wait a while. And then take a rest, and then go put it away. And I pay bills for lack of anything to do. He went to the store. And then day 2, maybe this person had Monday off, and here's their second day. They got up, got dressed, ate breakfast, and then for them, maybe if you have a coffee maker and it's already made, maybe you can just rest and have coffee. And because this person showered and made lunch the night before, so they didn't have to get up early in the morning, take a shower and do lunch. So that was one way that they were depositing energy into their account. They went to work, they got there, started the day, and then they closed the door and rested. Then they worked till noon, and they ate and rested for 15 minutes. So they cut sort of some of those, like the lunch period, shorter to get a rest in and lunch, but then had longer rest periods. Or they could have had a rest first and then eaten. But just try and think about how you can work that into your day. So if you make an actual schedule and plan your rest first, and then work your activities around it, whether they be, your work activities or your housework or yard work or any of the other things that you have to do. Okay, another thing is to spend less energy is to use good body mechanics. So in standing, wear good shoes. I put the more extreme shoes, but wear good shoes. Balance your weight on both feet. So when you're standing, have everything distributed equally. Bend your knees slightly. Pull in your stomach. And this is if you're standing for your job or standing like in line or something like that. You can put one foot on a low stool like the picture shows, because then what that does is it changes the arch in your back. It kind of flattens it a little bit and takes some of the pressure off your back, and that's relaxing. And then bring your own seat. So if you have something, like you're going to the theater or a sporting event or standing in line for something, if you can bring your own seat, then you can sit down. And it's not one of those little ones that folds up, looks like an umbrella when it's folded, but it's not. Those are not that heavy. So think about that. When my mom was older and my sister was on these mad shopping sprees, they would always bring a wheelchair for my mom. She didn't need it. She could walk, but my sister could zip her through the places faster. Then my mom could rest in the wheelchair while my sister was doing whatever she was doing. Or if they stood in line somewhere, then they had the wheelchair to rest. And then my mom would also offer it to my sister. She could rest for a little bit too. So both people benefited. Sitting. How many of you use a computer? Okay, probably about everybody. Do you use it in your work? Do you use it for fun? So if you use your computer at work, hopefully you have a good chair with back straight, a back support, a lumbar support, and small your back. Having your hips and knees at 90 degrees, your feet flat on the floor. Rest your arms on the surface or an armrest, and have your elbows bent to about 90 degrees and your shoulders relaxed. Kind of look at your workstation, or have somebody look at it for you. If your shoulders hurt all the time, are you like this? Is your work surface too high, or is it too low? Because those are fatiguing. It's really tiring to not have a good workstation. Where's your monitor? Is it too high or too low? That's the problem with tablets and your iPads, because when you have those, exactly, your head's down like that, your shoulders are slumped, and the same with the phones and all that type of thing. So kind of look at the posture you're at. Ideally, to use your cell phone, I heard you should actually have it about out here to keep your neck straight. I'm sure people aren't going to go texting way out here, but then you would have fatigued arms, right? So you have to kind of weigh it off. But you can use stands for those and have the stands at the level that you need it at. Yes?
You got the cell phone out here, you can't drive.
That's true. Good point. That's a good point. Exactly.
I didn't have to finish that one.
Another way to spend less energy is to use technology. Use electric devices for everything that you can. There's choppers, vacuums, dishwashers, electric screwdrivers, the vacuum thing that goes around. Zumba, Rumba, whatever it is. The electric knives, all those types of things use less energy for that. And if you really need something and it's a little bit expensive, you can't afford it, then think of things. I know it would not be really cool to probably get well, maybe it would be okay for a food chopper, but maybe an electric knife or a vacuum cleaner for your birthday or Christmas or a holiday. But again, if they're expensive and your family's always trying to find something to get you, then you just say, everybody pitch in and get me this particular device. Ergonomic devices. Ergonomic devices were designed to save energy, to make it easier to do different tasks and not use different torque or poor body mechanics. There's a lot of things out there. Make this this thing work here. So these are like ergonomic garden tools if you garden. So instead of tilting your arm down, your wrist down like that, you hold it like that. You use stronger arm muscles. Some of the wrenches now, they can actually stay closed instead of you having to grip them to hold them closed, and pliers. There's a million different bottle can openers. The voice activated controls for your computer, the headphones that you don't have to hold, and different stands for your phone or your iPad or mini iPad. Now this one, I was looking for a picture of a what did I Google? Something like handless, or you didn't have to hold with your hands. And anyway, I found these pictures. These were so funny, of this guy who had his phone to his head and he had duct tape around it. It was great. And then somebody else had the phone to their head and they had one of those big headbands around it. And I thought, now that might work, but the tape was a little bit extreme. But of course you could use a Bluetooth or something normal too. But if you don't happen to have that, then there are different ways to get around it. So think about ergonomics. And then wheels are another sort of technological thing that is not really high tech, but they become more commonplace. You know, a lot of people are using the scooters here, or making the wheelchairs be available for people because of the distances. Well, it's okay to use wheelchairs and scooters. They help save energy. If you can save energy going from the parking lot to wherever you're going, to the store or an event, and then you have more energy to enjoy the event, why not use it? Take advantage of it. Wheelchairs, golf courts, and then there's, you know, the different, if you have to lug a bunch of stuff around for your job, using these types of carts. Carts in the home, you know, to take stuff from one place to another can be good. People have backpacks now on wheels, and then of course the wheeled suitcases are become really popular. So when you wheel things around, you don't have to carry, you don't have to lift, it saves you energy. Another way to save less energy, or spend less energy, we don't want to save less energy, is to organize your workstation or your activity station. And by work, I'm not making work at your job, but working to do something. So it's like an activity station. So store items where they are easiest to reach, and that's usually between your knees and your chest. Place items you use within easy reach. Have a lazy Susan, cupboards with pull-out drawers or shelves. This one shows like a pegboard if you have room in your house to hang things, or use those containers that you just can pull your utensils out on the counter. To show some of the pull-out drawers that you can get pretty easily. There's pull-out ones that you can pull out and put things vertically. There's vertical panels for that. Get rid of clutter and avoid stacks, because you spend a lot of energy constantly going through your stacks of stuff. Try and keep items that you use at the place where they're used. So like cleaning supplies, oftentimes we have one set of cleaning supplies and we keep them in like a laundry room or somewhere like that. But then when you go to use them, let's say you have 2 bathrooms, then you lug everything and you take them to one bathroom and you take them to the other. But if you could have a set of supplies in both bathrooms and maybe in the kitchen, then that kind of eliminates going back and forth all the time to try and move stuff with that. So organize your work or activity stations. So some activity stations may be the kitchen, the laundry, your work area at work, or even in your home, your garden, yard work, or a shed. And what other types of workstations do you have? Dining room table is your workstation, huh? So you use it for a workstation, not an eating place. Right. With that. Storing place. That's kind of what ours looks like. Oh, what kind? A bedroom can be a workstation, yes.
I mean, just like your nightly routines that are on your end table or whatever that you have to go through.
That's a workstation, exactly, exactly. If any of you do crafts, or if you have a workshop, if you build things, or a woodworking area, those are maybe your workstations too. Now this shows a picture here of a kind of a laundry room workstation. And can you think, do you see any problems with that? Yes, go ahead.
The basket on top of the washing. I mean, it's gonna
All the stuff
fold
is
it.
behind, above
It's
it.
gonna be a little bit heavy.
Right, so the laundry basket on top, that could be really heavy, but you might not want it on the floor either, because if it's heavy, you gotta lift it. And then you all pointed out all the stuff up here on the shelf, and it's behind the washer and dryer. So you can't reach, and if you're most of the height of us in this room, you have no chance of getting it anyway. And you may not even be able to have a chance if you're right up next to it with that. And then the hangers, if the rod goes all the way back here, again, you're not going to be able to get, and if you drop something behind the washer dryer, then it's probably gone for good, right? So this was a picture of an organized laundry room, but it's really not that great. So maybe you could put like a shelf or something here. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of room there, so maybe you could do that, and you could put all this stuff here. Plus it's heavy. You know, laundry detergent is heavy with that. So you might be able to do that. And then maybe you just have another place to put your laundry basket, a shelf there. Or, I don't know if they even make these, but they used to make laundry baskets on wheels. Now, it doesn't work so well in carpeting in your home, but if you have good enough wheels.
They have them at waist level, like at container stores and stuff.
That you can roll, yeah. So something like that might be good too. And then you can roll it from room to room to distribute laundry or collect it, or the other thing is to have your family do that for you. So this shows like what most people's bathrooms look like. And then this shows trying to clean it up a little bit, but trying to have it only the stuff out that you need and not all this extra stuff out. Because it does take time, and believe me, that mine looks more like this than this. It does take time to find the stuff. And when you start finding and you're lifting and you're pulling, even though the stuff isn't heavy, it still takes some energy with that. Okay, so here's like a office, messy office. Yeah, most people's office, clean office, but nice organized office. But that person, they say, that person doesn't look like they have all that much to do. They have all that stuff there. The barrel height desk can be nice too. If it hurts, sometimes you get tired standing and sitting. They're not that heavy to move up and down with that. So that is an option, and it is something that at work, if that's something that you do a lot of, you know, sitting at a workstation, that's something to think about too. So let me go back here. I was going to then ask you. So kitchen, how are your kitchens? Are they pretty organized? Are they?
What I do is I take like the dish detergent bottles and I put them in the 3-ounce travel size and keep it on my sink so I'm not bending down and dragging it out. But I do have problems with the like the cascade and stuff, so I keep that right in the front. So I don't have to reach because that box is always heavy.
That's right. Those
Yeah.
are heavy. Those are great ideas. Did you hear in the back? She puts her her dish soap, the bigger dish soap, into smaller containers. Travel.
And it's got the screw on top where I can just squirt it into the sink.
Okay, so she can just screw it off, squirt it in the sink. Doesn't have to keep bending down, pulling the dish soap out of the counter, and then bringing it up. And then the cascade, the bigger boxes, which are, you know, that's the problem too. We buy everything in big and bulk because it's cheaper, but it's heavier. So putting it where you can reach it, or again, you could probably with the cascade, some of them you can get in a tub, pour in a tub, so you just scoop it out.
In a
Tupperware container.
and scoop it out into the dishwasher.
Right, right. So a lot of different ways of doing that. But, you know, kind of look at your kitchens and put stuff that you use a lot where you can actually reach it. If it's stuff you don't use, then put it up high or down low, and then have other people get it for you if you need it.
Little mini baskets that you can like screw into cabinet doors are really helpful for like the little pods and things like that, so that you can pull out what you need and the rest can be stored, and then it's easy access
Right, excellent.
without having to bend too far.
Right. There's a lot of things out there. So she said the little things that you can put on the drawer or the cabinets. You pull them out, and then they're like a little tray that you can screw in, and you can put some of your smaller stuff in there, or the stuff you only need one of instead of having to go find the box and put it somewhere, right? With that. Workstations where you work at, any ideas on that? Are they organized or? No, again, trying to think how can you organize it so that it's easy for you to get to what you want, and you can find things and you don't have to do a lot of reaching or moving, because all that helps with energy. Gardening, you know, if you have like a shed or somewhere you keep all your garden stuff, so you don't have to always reach down or get stuff out. That's the thing too. You know, when you have to get stuff out and it's heavy, then you don't use it as much, or it uses up so much energy. So actually having some of that where you can easily reach it. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Did you hear her in the back? She said the tension rods that you can just pull out and they just kind of stay, or some of them suction on the wall. You can hang like your spray bottles, the handles over them, so you can just reach them real easy. That's a great idea. Like that. So I'll learn from each other, and that's the big thing here. Think about how can you simplify the activity. That's another way to spend less energy. Can you eliminate the steps of an activity? Can you serve your meals in the kitchen so you don't carry them out to the dining room? Now, if your dining room table is your workstation, you don't have to worry about that, but that's okay. But that solves that problem. But can you serve the meals in the kitchen instead of taking everything out to the other room? People fill their plates, and then they take them out to the other room. Again, using carts if you feel like you have to serve everything out in the other room, family style with that. Helps eliminate carrying and all the trips. Using no scrub cleaners so that you just spray them on and they clean. You just rinse them off. Line your pans with foil. So if you're cooking roasts or things like that, you line them in foil, and then afterwards you just can fold the foil up and throw it out, and then the pan's not as yucky as it is. And then eliminate the activity, which could be the scrubbing or the actual activity itself. Some people wash all their dishes and put them in the dishwasher and then run it. So do you really have to, the dishwasher's supposed to work and do that for you. Maybe you rinse them off a little bit. Some people still iron everything. Do you have to iron everything with that? You know, if you do, it's a hard habit to break, but are there activities that you can actually eliminate? Can you change the activity? Can you buy pre-chopped vegetables and salad fixings so it's already there? Can you buy already prepared food? You know, some of this ends up being more expensive, but if it saves you energy, you have to have kind of a trade-off with that. Using paper plates, plastic silverware, and then change position. And you stand up, can you sit down to do an activity? Now, one of the things, depending on what your workstation is like, is if you have a workstation and you decide I'm going to sit down and make the dinner or something like that, or make a salad, but when you sit in the chair, the counter's up this high, that's not going to be good. Or if you're tall and you stand up to do something and the counter is too low, then that's not going to be good either. So the surface has to be good and conducive to be able to do that. Okay, so I'll talk about different ways to simplify different activities. For dressing, dressing can be hard, but for women anyway, I don't know if men have this problem, the hardest thing is usually to figure out what you're going to wear. So plan what you wear for the week. That's probably, I should have had that on the top. If you know what you're going to wear for the week, then you know what's clean and what everything is going to be, and that will save you energy, agonizing energy in the morning. Organize your clothes by outfits. Hang them on a single hanger if you can. Then the things that go together are together, or put them together. Sit while you're getting dressed. If you don't have good balance, you're probably doing that anyway. Use assistive devices for reach or for fasteners, or just simplify the clothing that you do wear. Wear stretchy rings, bracelets, magnetic belts stay together, clip-on ties are all different things that make dressing easier. You know, of course, this depends on what you wear. Keep a hamper in the room where you undress, but then you can just take it out to the other room. But again, thinking about how heavy that is and how you're going to get it there, having some type of cart on wheels. Bathing, there are different types of bath benches that are available. Think about that. If you get really tired in the shower, you'll probably need a handheld shower. You can get railings for your shower to help you get in, or just to have something to stand on if you need, to grab onto should you need it. There are the different, you can put shampoo and lotion, conditioner, and soap in a pump. You can get those at your, Walmart or your Lowe's or Home Depot or any of those types of things. You just have to push a button. You don't have to hang everything high or have it down low. Use your non-skid bath mats in bathtubs and showers. Talked about the dispensers. There's long sponges that are available. There's wash mitts, so you don't have to hold on to the wash mitt. Think about the equipment that you might need. Drying off sometimes can be really hard. A lot of people have those really big towels that actually can be really, really heavy and hard to use, and depending on your size. So using a lightweight beach towel or one that's really absorbent, or even a terry cloth robe to just kind of help soak up the water on your body. I don't know if that would work in New Orleans because it's so humid, but in New Mexico, in the desert, it would probably work pretty well. Meal prep, again, sit to prepare meals, but make sure your work surface isn't too high or too low. Organize your kitchen so everything is in easy reach. We've talked about these. Trying to slide things on the counter so you don't have to carry them. Plan easy to prepare meals. Use convenient meals as an alternative. You don't have to maybe use them every night. And then, think about the electrical appliances and devices. I think these days a lot of things are so commonplace that people end up having them anyway, which is good. And then use the wheeled cart or serve food in the kitchen. We talked about all those. Shopping. Make a shopping list if you can according to the layout of the store. I don't know. I seem to always go back and forth. But my mom, she knew the store so well. She just, you could go shopping for her, and she said, start at this end, and you could go get all this stuff. And it was amazing. Plan your weekly menu and shopping lists so you know what you need to get, and you don't have to make extra trips. If possible, shop online or use home delivery. It may not be possible because some of those are expensive. Use the carts in the store. If they're always taken, go at a different time of day when it's less busy. That also saves you energy trying to avoid people or stand in line. You can go online and get what is it called, shopping list?
Yeah, I have like grocery shopping list.
Grocery shopping list, and it will check. You can check the store that you want, and it will have it organized by what the store is laid out with that. I'm going to try that. That sounds great with that. Get a handicap permit if you don't have one already. Shop at quiet times, and then, like I said, when you get home, put your perishables away first, and then take a break. Housekeeping, spread tasks over the week. Do a little bit each day. Hire help if possible, or delegate to family members with that. Like they can make their own bed, fold their clothes, clean their rooms, that type of thing, depending on the age of your kids, and that might be. But hey, you can work around it. Sit if possible. Walk with rather than push your vacuums. Instead of doing this type of thing, walk with it. You know how when you mow your lawn, you actually go in a pattern. You don't mow your lawn like that. You kind of walk around in a perimeter or go back and forth, but you can push that and use lightweight mops and vacuums. Gardening, there's wheelbarrows, baskets, toolboxes to use equipment. This is the chair that you can kneel on if you need to, but then it flips over and you can sit on it. It's not too heavy. Weed after it rains, or after the garden's been watered, when the soil is damp. Probably do all these things anyway. And wear gloves, of course, to protect your skin. Power tools, large handle tools. Hire help if you can. Use community organizations because sometimes they will work a lot cheaper. You know, if you go to your local like community center or neighborhood center, exercise center, sometimes like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, clubs that are trying to raise money to go, bands or go on the band trip or the cheer trip or something like that, will do yard work or anything that you need, rake leaves in the fall for a minimal price. Okay, so when your energy levels are low, what are you going to do? You got to plan how to use it. So schedule and organize. One lady said to me, she had scleroderma, my daughter wants to do something fun. We do something where I can sit down and we make a deal. The next day we stay home. So somewhere that has places to sit and take a rest. We talked about choosing clothes and meals for the week. Prioritize and pace. We'll talk about that a little bit too. What's important and how to go about doing it. Look at your standards. It's okay that towels aren't folded or a dishwasher loaded perfectly or the sheets ironed. And then you have to make your choices. So pacing. Pacing is really alternate periods of rest and activity that budgets your energy. So break your tasks into manageable parts and spread them out during the day or week. And then change your task or rest before you get tired. So parts to pacing. First thing, find your limits. Decide, and you may have to keep a fatigue diary that I'll show you on the next slide here. But find your limits. I can vacuum. How long can you vacuum before you're tired? And that's what you do. And then you take a break. Talk on the phone, compute, text. And that's maybe before I have to sit down, change positions, rest, feel uncomfortable, or hurt. So really think about that. Adhere and adapt to your limits. Set rules. Set a timer. Use a pedometer for steps. Set a rule. At 11, I rest. Every day at 11, I rest. Be careful of excuses. I don't know if you ever, oh, I felt so good, I just kept going. Yeah, I know it said, but I felt good. I go till I have symptoms, and then they're maybe full-blown or you're completely exhausted. Or I do everything in the morning because I feel good, and then you have no energy for anything else in the afternoon. And then if you can, once you know what those are and you work within them, you may be able to extend them and work a little bit longer. But if you can't, that's okay too. So here's an example of a fatigue diary. So the person showered and brushed teeth, and the fatigue is from 1 to low, which is low fatigue, to 10, which is very fatigue. And they had 4 after that. They were kind of tired, but they had to rest afterwards. And then they talked on their sister on the phone for 45 minutes, and their level of fatigue was 7. Their arm got tired after 10 minutes, but they were exhausted after listening to their sister after 20. Then they really had to rest. Right, right. So that would be one solution, exactly, is to use the speakerphone, because her fatigue level was a 9 after all that and went down to a 3 after she rested. But the speakerphone is one solution. What might be another solution?
I'll call you back later.
I'll call you back later, yeah. Yeah. Or, I'm sorry, sis, I have 10 minutes and then I have to go, I don't know, walk the dog or something like that. And you know, then you can limit it. So if there's something important, then you have time to talk about it, but it's not totally exhausting with that. And then she used a computer, paid bills, did emails, and after an hour it was 7. She felt a 7, which is fairly high fatigue. She got tired after 20 minutes, but she kept going because the bills had to be paid, or she felt like she had to finish it. So what could she have done? Stopped. Yeah, stop it. If you're tired after 20, maybe you could do 15, take a rest, 5-minute rest, and then do the rest of it instead of being exhausted that you can't do anymore. And then another way is to prioritize. What are your typical tasks? List them. What do you have for fun? What do you have to do for work? What has to be done? What do others expect me to do? But also, what do you want to do? Other people expect you to do some things. You may want to do other things. Okay, when I'm running out of time. Think about delegating. What can you eliminate? And who or what? And I like this. Did you know an 8-year-old is very capable of preparing supper, even if it's just hamburger helper, when coached by mom in a recliner? And then real quick, look at your standards. What are your standards? Do they affect what you do? Do you have too high of standards for what needs to be done? Do they make you use energy? Because you have them on yourself. You can have dust, you can have all this other stuff. Okay, think about a schedule. These are examples for you. And then my final one is make decisions. Deposit energy using those ideas, budget for energy, and then have a plan of action. So I think we do have time for the breathing if you want to do it. So what I want to have you do is get comfortable. So it's kind of a breathing meditation. So close your eyes or look at the sunset. Get comfortable. So as you allow your body to become still, bring your attention to the fact that you are breathing. Be aware of the movement of your breath as it comes into your body and as it leaves your body. Do not manipulate your breath in any way or try to change it. Simply be aware of it and of the feelings associated with breathing. Observe the breath deep down in your belly. Feel the abdomen as it expands gently on the in-breath and as it falls back towards your spine on the out-breath. Be totally here in each moment with each breath. Not trying to do anything, not trying to get any place, simply being with your breath. Give full care and attention to each in-breath and to each out-breath as they follow, one after the other, in a never-ending cycle and flow. You will find that from time to time, your mind will wander off into thoughts. When you notice your attention is no longer here and no longer with your breathing, and without judging yourself, bring your attention back to your breathing and ride the waves of your breathing, fully conscious of each breath from moment to moment. Every time you find your mind wandering off the breath, gently bring it back to the present, back to the moment to moment, observing of the flow of your breathing. Using your breath as an anchor to focus your attention, to bring you back to the present whenever you notice that your mind is becoming absorbed or reactive. Use your breath to help you tune into a state of relaxed awareness and stillness. Now, as you observe your breathing, you may find from time to time that you're becoming aware of sensations in your body. As you keep awareness of your breathing, see if it's possible to expand the field of your awareness so it includes a sense of your body as a whole as you sit here. Feel your body from head to toe and become aware of all the sensations in your body, so that now you are observing not only the flow of breathing, but the sense of your body as a whole. Being here with whatever feelings and sensations come up in the moment without judging them, without reacting to them, just being fully here, fully aware, totally present with whatever your feelings are and with your breath and a sense of your body as a whole. And again, whenever you notice that your mind is wandering off, just bring it back to your breathing and your body. As you sit here, not going anywhere, not doing anything, just simply being, simply sitting, moment to moment, being fully present, fully with yourself. Reestablish your awareness of the body as a whole and on the breath as it moves in and out of your body, coming back to a sense of fullness of each in-breath and the fullness of each out-breath. If you find yourself at any point drawn into a stream of thinking and you notice you're no longer observing your breath, just use your breathing and the sense of your body to anchor you and stabilize you in the present. As the practice comes to an end, you might give yourself credit for having spent this time nourishing yourself in a deep way by dwelling in the state of non-doing, in the state of being, for having intentionally made time for yourself to simply be who you are. And as you move back into the world, allow the benefits of this practice to expand into every aspect of your life. And you can open your eyes, relax, and have a great evening.